Hello friends, welcome to SS Brother Pharma series. When I did a little survey, the students expressed their difficulty in understanding the topic of the heart. So herewith I am presenting you the topic anatomy and physiology of the heart. So in present segment we will discuss about the definition of the heart, the structure of the cardiac muscles, the structure of the heart, and in the next segment we will discuss about the circulation of the blood through the heart. So if you imagine from the outer surface where the heart is located, so you can assume that heart is located somewhere in this region. And what this region is called? This region is the mediastinum, and it is slightly inclined left from the mediastinum. This is the heart, how it looks. So in this image you can observe the rib cages protecting the heart. You can see the diaphragm here, you can see the aorta, you can see the pulmonary trunk. In anatomy and physiology, you might have heard the word, and you should use the terms superior, inferior, anterior, posterior and lateral. So in a simple way I will explain you. The superior means they are above the particular organ. So here in simple example, if I am going to explain you, the aorta is superior to the heart. So it is superiorly located in the heart, means it is located on the top. If you take the example of diaphragm, so you can say diaphragm is inferior to the heart. So inferior, superior, so these are the anatomically used terms just for the position. Don't take the term in the social part that some organ is superior or some organ is inferior. All the organs are equally important. So this is the term inferior, where you will explain the location of the diaphragm. So the rib cages are anterior to the heart. Anterior means they are in front of the heart and surrounding the heart with the location. So if you simply tell, for the example, the rib cages, the anterior part of the rib cages are anterior to the heart, means what? The anterior, the word starts with the A. And if you are well versed with Hindi, anterior you can see like aage, and posterior, backside, means you can say piche, simply using the Hindi terminology. So aage is anterior, piche is posterior, and superior the upper, and inferior in the down region. Lateral either on the side. In this region, in this image, the lungs are laterally located to the heart, and the heart is superior to the diaphragm. The lungs are laterally attached to the heart. The aorta is in the superior position in the heart. So you can see in this image the superior vena cava, the aorta, the pulmonary trunk, the apex of the heart, and you can see the pericardial region. So this is the pericardial region, the parietal pleura, so which is reducing the friction. Then what is the heart? The heart is a muscle of the size of your fist, weighs approximately about 1 pound. It is located behind and slightly left to the breastbone. So you can see here it is behind and slightly located left to the breastbone. So you can see that it is posterior to the breastbone. So the breastbone is anterior to the heart. You can write anatomy. So these are the different veins and arteries which are connected with the heart. So you can see here you have the superior vena cava, the inferior vena cava, pulmonary veins, the pulmonary arteries. The function of the heart is to circulate the blood throughout the body by pumping blood through the lungs, removing carbon dioxide and refreshing the blood with the oxygen, and pumping the oxygenated blood to the whole body to provide oxygen and nutrients, and also to remove waste products. So when you are writing the answers and definitions, you should always remember all the words should be there. It should be technically correct. So sometimes the students get confused. Yes, I had written the answer, but I couldn't get the marks. Whereas sometimes what will happen, you will write only the function of the heart is to circulate the blood throughout the body by pumping blood through lungs. Only this much sometimes you might have written. Pumping oxygenated blood to the body to provide oxygen and nutrients. There you will stop. Whereas you have to write and to remove waste products also. It is also the function of the heart. And removing carbon dioxide and refreshing the blood with the oxygen will make you the correct and the perfect answer. Hope you understood. And here you must note one point, that the coronary arteries are the blood vessels that supply the blood and oxygen to the heart muscle. The coronary arteries supply the blood to the heart. So what are the cardiac muscles and what is the comparison of cardiac muscles and the skeletal muscles? So here are the similarities. Both are striated muscles. So what are striated muscles? The striated muscles are the specially structured muscles which convert the energy into the mechanical work. So whenever you want to do any mechanical work like putting the book or reading the book, you have to use the heart muscles, you have to use the muscles of your skull, the sinuses, so that you can read it. So they convert the energy into the mechanical work. So what kind of energy we have? Obviously we have the chemical energy which we generally use like in the term calorie. So how much calorie you burn every day, like that the word is used by the nutritionists. Both use proteins, actin and myosin. Both contract in response to an action potential on the sarcolemmal membrane. The sarcolemmal membrane, if you study the muscular system topic, you will easily understand. Then the differences. The skeletal muscles are neurogenic, as you might have seen. You are being studied this particular part since your school days. The brain will send the signals to the muscles so that you can function with that muscle. For example, if you observe some vehicle coming very fast towards you, your eyes, the sensory nerves will sense the risk. They will send the impulses to the brain, and brain will immediately send the impulses to your muscular system, the muscles of your legs, your whole body, so that you can run out of the road or away from the vehicle so that you can get protected. So this all work with the neurological system, and the main mediator here is the mediator is the acetylcholine. They are insulated from each other. They contract in all or none fashion. Means if you want to run, the whole muscles of the legs, thighs will contract and relax. It is not that they contract partially. They are having the short action potential. Whereas the cardiac muscles are myogenic in nature. You are again studying this part since your school days. The pacemaker, the sinoatrial node, will generate the impulses from where the cardiac muscles will contract. They are having the gap junctions. They contract in phases. So if you take the phase of the contraction here, the atrial systole will be there, the ventricular systole will be there, and the complete cardiac diastole. The cardiac cycle. We will discuss that particular part in the cardiac cycle. The systole is the contract stage or the contract state, if you want to be more specific. The diastole is the relaxed state of the heart muscles. The action potential here is longer. So this is the cardiac muscle, how it looks like, and here you can observe the gap junction. So here I want to tell you all that the images, some of the definitions and contents I have referred from the very well-known books, the Anatomy and Physiology by the Gregor Tortora and the Anatomy and Physiology book by the Ross and Wilson, and some internet sources. So I am thankful to all of them for making me or to prepare these slides so that I can present the content in front of you. The heart is the center of the cardiovascular system. I would suggest all the students that whenever you are writing any answer related to the heart, whether it is anatomy of the heart, cardiac cycle, structure of the heart, definition of the heart, this one sentence should be the first sentence in every answer. That is, the heart is the center of the cardiovascular system. It is a muscular pump that ejects blood into the vascular tree with sufficient pressure to maintain optimum circulation. Again, you have to write every word here because each word is important in the definition. So, the heart is the center of the cardiovascular system. It is a muscular pump that ejects blood into the vascular tree with sufficient pressure to maintain optimum circulation. So this is the definition of the heart. Vascular tree, you all know there are arteries, there are veins. Again, veins are divided into subveins and later it reaches up to the level of capillaries. With sufficient pressure, it is not that with any pressure the heart can pump. With the sufficient pressure, if it increases also, there is a problem. If it decreases also, there is a problem. We will discuss about that in the cardiovascular disorders. To maintain optimum circulation, the circulation should be neither fast or it should be slow. It should be optimum. So these words are very much essential when you are writing the definition in anatomy and physiology or in any of the subject which is related to the science. If you miss even one word, the whole definition may become less in meaning. It is divided into 4 chambers, the right and left atrium, both lying superiorly, as I have given the word so you can understand it easily. So they are located on top. The right and left ventricle, both lying inferiorly and are larger. So they are located. What is the size, location and orientation of the heart? So it is enclosed in the mediastinum as I have shown in the earlier slide pictures. So its base is posterior superior portion. So base is on the top, little posterior as I was telling, refer the word Hindi. So it is little backside, apex inferior, it is down and in the anterior portion. I have shown the apex in the first slide. It is composed of 3 major types of muscles, obviously the cardiac muscles. So one is the atrial muscles, the name itself suggests they are in the atria. Ventricular muscles, they are in the ventricle, and this is the essential part, the specialized excitatory conductive muscle fibers, which you generally call Purkinje fibers. The heart, obviously it is having the heart wall, it is having the epicardium, it is having the myocardium, it is the bulk of the heart, mainly of the cardiac. It is having the endocardium. The endocardium is made of simple squamous epithelium and a thin layer that lines the heart chambers and walls, and it is continuous with the endothelial lining. So how it is, I will show in the coming. So it is having the covering, the pericardium, the epicardium. It protects the heart. It anchors the heart to the surrounding structures such as diaphragm and the great vessels. I have already shown in the third slide how it is attached with the lungs, and I have shown the pericardium portion also. And the main function of this pericardium is the prevention of the overfilling of the heart with the blood. So the pericardium prevents of. And what are the coverings of the pericardium? The serous pericardium, fibrous pericardium. There is a space in between which is called the pericardial cavity, and this pericardial cavity contains a film of serous fluid. It is also called a pericardial fluid, which obviously maintains the texture or the it removes or it reduces the friction of the layers of the heart while constriction. The pericarditis is the condition of inflammation of the pericardium which may lead to the adhesions between the layers of the buildup of fluid in the pericardial cavity. This is also called the pericardial tamponade. So whenever the suffix itis comes into the picture, you should understand that it is the pathological term. Means if it is appendix, the infection or inflammation of that particular organ is called appendicitis. So like that you can identify. So this is how the explanation is given with the image. So you can see here the fibrous pericardium, you can see the serous pericardium here, the epicardium, and in between the pericardial cavity. So this is the epicardium. So this is the myocardium with the muscle fibers. You can easily watch the muscular fibers here. And here is the endocardium made of simple squamous epithelium, and it is continuous with the heart. So now you can easily find it out how it is continuous with. So it is up to the continuation, up to the interventricular and interatrial septum. It is in continuation. The chambers, the atria are small, they are thin walled chambers. And what are their function? They receive the blood returning from the heart and returning from the circulation. They push the blood to the adjacent vein. And how they receive blood from? The right side, superior and inferior vena cava, and the coronary sinus. Obviously the coronary sinus, it is the blood deoxygenated from the heart, because the coronary arteries supply the blood to the heart. From left side, it gets the blood from the pulmonary veins. So you can identify here the pulmonary veins are the only exception where it carries oxygenated blood, and pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood, whereas all the arteries carry oxygenated blood and all the veins carry the deoxygenated blood. Ventricles, they make up most of the mass of the heart. The walls of the left ventricle are 3 times thicker than those of the right. What is the reason? The right ventricle has to push the blood up to the pulmonary trunk and through the pulmonary trunk to the lungs for the oxygenation, whereas the left ventricle has to push the blood in the manner so that the whole organs of the body should get the blood supply properly. And to push in that larger manner, it needs strong muscles. So that is why it is 3 times thicker than that of the right. The functions of the ventricles, obviously discharging chambers of the heart are nothing but the ventricles. They propel the blood into pulmonary trunk from the right ventricle, and from left ventricle through the aorta they propel the blood. So hope you understood the initial part of the topic properly, and kindly wait for the next segment where I will explain you about the blood circulation through the cardiovascular system.